Hi, good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Professor Latha, Professor for the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology Nursing and Vice Principal for Madras Medical Mission College of Nursing. And the topics for today's discussion is about Pap smear test. So today for the session, the outline includes history of Pap smear, the Pap smear, its purposes, significance, risk factors, when a woman have to undergo a Pap smear, the frequency of screening this procedure, the procedure of taking a Pap smear in detail, the limitations and the guidelines. When we look into the history of a Pap smear is named after the doctor called Papanicolaou. He introduced the cervical cytology into clinical practice in the year 1940. And 1917, there were vaginal smears taken from the guinea pigs. From a woman, the vaginal smears were being obtained from 1920 in order to note her hormonal cycles and to detect the pathological conditions, which took forth from the year 1928. In 1945, the Pap smear was endorsed by the American Cancer Society as an effective method for prevention of cervical cancer. Now, many countries have started this cancer screening as a national cervical screening program. If you look into the cervical cancer scenario in India, as we all know, the cancers of the breast, uterine cervix and oral cavity has accounted for more than 34% of all cancers in India, and therefore this requires an immediate health priority so that operational framework can be designed to prevent the cervical cancer. And out of all these cancers, the cervical cancer leads as the commonest cancer in women in India and is considered to be the major cause of death in women is because of the cervical cancer. It is usually diagnosed at an advanced stage, and by the time we lose a woman, and the maternal mortality becomes high because of the cervical cancer. No national programs are seen in India since 2015, and after 2015 the screening programs have started to come up, which has reduced the instance of cervical screening in India. In 2016, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare India recommended cervical cancer screening using the visual inspection with acetic acid every 5 years for women aged 30 to 65 years as per the World Health Organization. Why? Now, cytologic screening for cervical cancer or the Pap smear is useful as a part of screening program for cervical cancer. As we know, the latent period between the cervical intraepithelial neoplasm and the invasive cancer allows or have a period of 10 to 15 years. And with the screening of this Pap smear, we have an enough chance to have allow the mother to have an adequate treatment of the cervical intraepithelial neoplasia and the prevention of invasive cancer. Now, this is proved to be successful in reducing the incidence of invasive cancer by 80% and the mortality by 70%. Of the 30% who actually develop cervical cancer, in spite of the screening program, the 30% is chances that where there were imperfections in the cytological technology because of the elute cytological detection and the biological behavior of malignant lesions, which goes into the failure of the detection. And 22% of the women develops cancer in spite of all these screening program and treatment because they don't seek to hospital to take or undergo Pap smears regularly. And amongst these women, cancers has the incidence of cancers is more, and when they clearly come up to take up Pap smears, these kind of cervical cancers can be prevented with early detection and treatment. Why cervical screening is a feasible strategy and a useful strategy? Because the relative accessibility of the cervix to take a smear is there, and long natural history of cervical carcinogenesis, relative conservative treatment for pre-malignant lesions are available, and this test is considered to be cost effective, and therefore the woman at an earlier stage can prevent herself from developing cervical cancer. Now, what is this Pap smear test? The Pap smear test is otherwise called as Papanicolaou smear test. It is nothing but we are trying to sample the cervix by scraping the cervical surface and a portion of non-visualized cervical canal using various sampling devices, which we will see them in detail in the next coming slides. It is obtained by taking a sample of the exfoliated, which is meant as a dead cells that are shred, and this is considered to be a simple test to look at the cervical cells. The specimen, when you want to take a pap smear, it should be done only after 2 weeks after the first day of the last menstrual period taken by brushing or scraping. To know about the purpose, it is done to detect the early cancer of the cervix. It is used to determine the estrogen activity related to menopause, or if there is any endocrine abnormalities, this pap smear test is being done. And the importance of why we need to take a pap smear in all women after 25 age of years is to detect the precancerous and the invasive cancer cervix at the earlier stage so that the treatment can be aided. Thereby, it reduces the mortality rates of women dying with cervical cancer. Positive screeners can be selected for selective test and management, and with the treatment, the progression of disease is halted, and thereby the morbidity associated with cancer slowly gets reduced. The mortality when you use a pap smear and the woman undergoes early treatment, the mortality is reduced to 20 to 60%. It helps us to study the natural history of the disease. And when we look into the slide, this tells you the various risk factors of women to acquire a cervical cancer. Mothers with HPV infection, mothers or the women who have multiple sex partners, those who use tobacco use, or women having given birth to more than 3 children, the family history of cervical cancer, the diet low in fruits and vegetables, prolonged use of birth control pills, and weakened immune systems are all considered to be the cervical cancer risk factors. When a mother or a woman should undergo a pap smear, so all women should have an initial pap smear test no later than 21 years. So this was before 2015, and now because women have now taking HPV vaccine, the incidence or the pap smear test is now done after 25 years or 3 years after the onset of sexual intercourse. The pap smear has recommended. After the initial test done, the women can undergo this test every year, that is annually or twice in a year. Now, how long the women have to undergo taking this pap smear? From the age of 25. So she has to take this pap smear yearly until 3 consecutive normal pap smears, and then the frequency of taking pap smear can be reduced to every 2 to 3 years. But annual screening for the high risk categories which I have mentioned is highly recommended for pap smear testing. When to stop this pap smear screening? So when she starts at the age of 25 and does it annually or biannually, she can stop doing this pap smear test at the age of 70, and she has underwent a lot of adequate recent screening which shows 3 consecutive negative pap smears, or no abnormal pap smears in the last 10 years, or if the mother or the woman undergone a hysterectomy for a benign lesion, then we can stop this routine screening of pap smear. Now, just to have an outline on how the cervix looks. The cervix is made up of the columnar epithelium, the squamous epithelium, and the junction of the columnar epithelium and the squamous epithelium is called as the squamous columnar junction. So the original squamous epithelium is present in the vagina and is at the outer ectocervix. It consists of 4 layers. It looks very pink because it is well glycogenated. Unless it is atrophic in women's aged about 60 or after menopause, it looks atrophic. The columnar epithelium is the upper and the middle endocervical canal. It is present, and single layer of columnar cells, and these are cells arranged in folds, and these are mucin producing cells and are not considered as true glands. Now, when does the squamous metaplasia occur? So, it usually occurs at the central ectocervix and the lower endocervical canal. There is a replacement of the columnar cells by the squamous epithelium. So now the replacement of this columnar cells replacement is progressed by the acidic environment with the onset of puberty and estrogen causing a version of endocervix. Majority of cervical cancers and precursor lesions arise immature squamous metaplasia at the junction of squamo-columnar junction and the border between the squamous epithelium and the columnar epithelium. There are varieties of cervical cancers, and out of which the squamous cell carcinoma occurs or accounts for 80 to 95%, and adenocarcinomas are seen among the women. It accounts for about 5 to 20%, and other types of the histological types includes clear cells and the sarcomas present in the women. Now we need to know about the transformation zone. So as we know the development, the cervix developed from the two embryonic sites, one from the Mullerian duct, which is lined by the columnar epithelium, and the other one, the urogenital plate, which is lined by the stratified squamous cell epithelium. The junction between the columnar and the squamous epithelium meet is called as the squamo-columnar junction, as it is visible at the picture between the columnar epithelium and the squamous epithelium. Now this transformation zone, this zone is called as the transformation zone as we discussed. Under the influence of estrogen, so this original squamous columnar junctions moved on to the potio. So when the cells becomes exposed to the vaginal environment, it leads to squamous metaplasia. So the areas of transformation zone includes areas of squamous metaplasia and area between the original and the new squamous columnar junction. So you could see in the picture the ectocervix, which is the dark colored place. The metaplasia occurs at the light brown color, and this is called as the endocervix. And you could see the development of when the exposure of the transformation zone to the environment leads to the development of native squamous columnar junction and the development of new columnar junction in case if the mothers or the women exposed to carcinogens. So exposure to carcinogens begins the process of this intraepithelial neoplasia. While the exact role of these carcinogens in this process remains poorly understood, it is clear that the HPV infection or the cigarette smoking can cause the dysplasia at this transformation zone. And 95% of the cancers, if you see, it develops from this transformation zones. So it is important that when we do a pap smear, we need to take samples from this transformation zone. So you could see the transformation zone. So usually through a routine speculum examination, the transformation zone is not viewed. Okay, but this picture tells you the transformation zone and from where you have to take the samples for pap smear. Now getting into the procedure. So when we looking at the equipments required for vaginal pap smear, we require a vulva swabbing set, a vaginal speculum, especially the Cuscus speculum, Savlon, perianal drapes, sterile gloves, KY jelly, specimen form, container to collect the samples, mask, torchlight, cytobrush, Incopad, swab sticks for high vaginal swabs. All these are required when you plan for a pap smear for a woman. So this picture tells you how a cervical brush or the cervix brush or the cytobrush. These are the two varieties of cytobrush, and these are the types of plastic spatula, the wooden spatulas and the iris spatulas, which you can see. This is to have a clear view on the iris spatula. So this is the iris spatula and the thin preparation, which is used for collecting the samples. This is the KY jellies and for high vaginal swabs if it is required, and the swab sticks, which is used to collect the samples. The preliminary preparation, as a part if a woman have to undergo a pap smear, you should ensure a proper technique before we get into the procedure. So more problems or the diagnosis fails because of improper sampling than the screening. So nurse should advise a patient to make an appointment other than during the menstruation. So as we have already discussed, the women have to undergo this pap smear 2 weeks after the first day of the last menstrual period. So before appointment, the women have to be advised to have abstinence of sexual intercourse for 24 hours and avoid vaginal contraceptives, vaginal medications for at least 48 hours before taking the smear, and refrain from douching for a day, And if the mother is a postpartum woman, she should undergo this pap smear test only after 6 to 8 weeks of delivery. So all these preliminary preparations are important for us the cervical pap smear test to come accurately. Just prior to the procedure, inform and explain the procedure to the patient. Put the woman in the lithotomy position on the examination table. Give her a good illumination. Advise patient to void. Provide privacy. Drape the patient and permit minimal exposure. So since the test involves taking smears from the cervix, a good illumination should be provided for the physician. So during the procedure, encourage patient to take deep breaths. Ask her to relax the pelvic muscles. Otherwise, the procedure for the physician would be a little difficult. Give support to the patient throughout the procedure. Assist the physician in taking a pap smear and help to focus the torchlight to the perineal area of the patient. Now, how a pap smear is taken by the physician. The Cusca speculum is first introduced inside the vagina to visualize and fix the cervix. After the insertion, the physician will make a quick inspection on the cervix and the findings which is present on the vagina and the cervix are noted. Then the Aeris spatula is inserted first. It is placed at the cervical os so that longer end goes into the cervical canal and the smaller end rests on the ectocervix. Now, how to take a smear? Now, after the spatula is inserted, it is rotated through 360 degrees, maintaining to have contact with the complete ectocervix. Too much of pressure should not be given, otherwise the spatula may hurt the mother's cervix, which will lead to bleeding and pain. And the physician also should not use less force because we will go for an inadequate sampling so that the accuracy of the results may be not obtained. Sample is smeared evenly on the slides and it is fixed immediately. So both the sides of the spatulas are to be smeared on the slides. So how to take a pap smear? So this is the swab that we have taken, and now taking the pap smear, the endocervical sample is collected using an endocervical brush. So after the spatula is inserted, the endocervical brush is inserted into the canal so that the last bristles of the brush are visible. So rotate after the insertion, the brush is rotated through 180 degrees, and more rotations if you do, the chances of bleeding is more. So sample is rolled on the slide and then again it is also fixed. So how do we fix the smear? So fixation should be done immediately after the procedure with 95% alcohol, or the Cytofix spray is already available so that it avoids air drying. Spray should be kept at 10 inches to avoid destruction of the cells by the propellant in the spray. Smear should monolayer for proper penetration of the cell surface by a fixator. How to take a pap smear is after all the procedure, you have to name the slide with the patient's name, identification number and details. A detailed history and clinical examination findings have to be mentioned in the slide. The patient details and the clinical findings are to be maintained in the register, and advice is given regarding further follow-up and treatment once the results are obtained. Now, to just have a quick gist on the procedure. So first, as a part of taking pap smear, you need to visualize the entire cervix if possible and carefully remove any obscuring discharges. Sample the ectocervix with the spatula and the endocervix with the cyto brush rotation, and the samples have to be applied uniformly onto the site, and with the fixative spray we need to fix the samples onto the slides. So this is the picture that shows you how the physician uses a spatula and a cyto brush in obtaining the ecto and the endocervix samples. Now, after the procedure, observe for any discharges from the woman from the vagina. Perineal care has to be given to the woman. Assist the patient from the dorsal recurrent lithotomy or to the supine position. Document the findings and send the specimen to a laboratory with the form. What are the systems available for cervical cytology report? So once it is after the test, the readings now becomes very important. Now, since the inception of this pap smear, George and Papanicolaou has given 5 classifications based on the certainty of finding malignant cells. WHO in the year 1968, based on the morphological criteria, they considered classifying this cervical cancer as mild, moderate, severe dysplasia and cancer in situ. There is also Richard who gave about the cervical intraepithelial neoplasia based on the histological diagnosis. And since from 1988, we use the Bethesda system according as advised by the National Cancer Institute, which was revised once in the year 1991 and after 2001. So this Bethesda system tells you the interpretable cellular cytology. It also gives you the cell information by which is caused by inflammation, debris, or a blood or a drying. And we can, with this system, when adequate sampling from the transformational zone is done, the Bethesda system is considered to be the best method to give you the results. Now, the results of a Bethesda system is considered to be initially before 2001, the results is considered to be benign cellular change. Now, after 2001, the word benign cellular changes is now replaced into within normal limits, or it is noted as reactive or reparative changes. Especially when it is reactive or reparative changes, it indicates maybe a woman with atrophy or inflammation, surgery, radiation, or IUD, and the mother uses an IUCD or a tampon. And if there is infection because of trichomoniasis, a fungal, bacterial, or a herpes simplex virus infections, this comes as a result in the slide. So now, what is a normal pap smear? So when the squamous cells are present, it is denoted as exfoliated individual cells, navicular in shape with abundant cytoplasm, and small or dark or round, oral, etc. will be noted out. Glandular cells, many times it is seen in clumps, linear or honeycomb pattern, slightly larger, and it is a basal nuclei. Negative for intraepithelial lesions or malignancy, or it comes as another neoplastic findings which includes reactive. Apart from the normal, if it is reactive, it comes as reactive cellular changes, glandular cell status post-hysterectomy or atrophic, and others with endometrial cells of mothers with 40 years, the changes in the endometrial cells are presented in the results. Now, these are the normal smears. If a mother doesn't have the cancer, these are the normal smears that you could see in the slides. This picture tells you that the mothers with normal, ascus, low grade, high grade, and the squamous cancer. So usually normal is negative, means there is no identifiable infection. In case of ascus, the presence of high risk infection with HPV. If there is a low grade change, the frequency due to infection with HPV, which in some instances can be a risk for a cervical cancer. If there are high cervical grade changes, the cells are very atypical and it may result in cancer, and sometimes if it is confirmatory squamous cell carcinoma or adenocarcinoma. So these are the different slides that tells you the reading according to the Bethesda system. So this is a low grade lesion. This is a high grade lesion where you could see a high grade squamous metaplasia seen with the cell changes in the center. So this is an abnormal pap smear test where you try to see the condensation of the cytoplasm or the wire and the coilocytos. So it is the squamous cells that have undergone a number of structural changes. We call that as a coilocyte. And this is the grade 1 infection of the cervical intraepithelial neoplasia 1, and this is CIN 2, this is CIN 3, and these are the various types of cervical lesions as seen on pap smears. Invasive squamous cell carcinoma. This is an adenocarcinoma. Now, what is, after we all have read about the procedure and the detection of slides using a Bethesda system, so now what is the accuracy of this pap smear? Always we have to note a single test will not detect a cervical abnormality. So until the mother have 3 negative tests, we should ensure the mother have to undergo a 3 negative test is very important. So this will reduce the chances of cell abnormality. Conventional cytology has specificity of 98% and sensitivity of 51%. The single pap smear diagnostic sensitivity is 70% and false negative results accounts for 25%, which we already have discussed, maybe because of too scanty or a too thick or a too bloody or a poorly stained smear, or sometimes there may be misinterpretation of the cytologist too. So this accounts for false negative results. If the mother has got an infection, then we need to do a repeated cytology after the infection is controlled. And if once an abnormal cytology is confirmed, so it gives you an indication that the mother has to proceed for a colposcopy evaluation and directed biopsy. Now, what are the limitations of pap smear? So as we have discussed, the sensitivity may be only 51%, which is considered to be very low. False negative rates are due to faulty sampling, improper fixation, or interpretation problems. Large group populations and high risk group screenings is not possible with this, and no consensus regarding the testing. Health education for these women who undergo this pap smear, you have to tell the patient to inform if there is any bleeding after the procedure. A bit of bleeding is always considered normal, but you need to explain them what is excessive bleeding and when to report to the physician. Instruct the patient to follow up the procedure at least annually or biannually, depending on the results. Now, what are the new guidelines on pap smear? So the target group where we try to target for pap smear is all women aged 18 to 70 years who have ever had sex. Timing of initial screening, as I've already said you, before 2001 it was 21 years, and after 2005 we started to do, from 2001 we started to do with the clients after 25 years because of the HPV vaccine. And or women's after they assume or they take up 3 years after the sexual activity, they have to undergo a pap smear. So American College of Guidelines, August 2003, and according to American Cancer Society and US Preventive Services STARS, gives you a lot of details about when to be done, which we'll discuss it later. Screening interval should be yearly. Every year a woman have to undergo until the age of 30, and then 3 yearly she has to undergo once. And then to end the screening, it is after 70 years or post hysterectomy, or if done for benign lesions or previous 3 normal pap reports are seen, or confirmed complete removal of cervical epithelium. In all these cases we can end the screening. In a high risk group, after the treatment for the cervical intraepithelial neoplasia, every 3 monthly for 2 years the mothers have to do, and every 6 monthly for 3 years, and thereafter every year she can do the pap smear. Even women after hysterectomy, if she's been underwent hysterectomy for the cervical intraepithelial neoplasia, it is recommended the mothers have to go for wall smears. So wall smears are nothing but the smears are taken from the blind folds of the vagina. We call that as wall smears. In women who receive vaccination against HPV, it is necessary to continue screening. It is not that the women have taken HPV, she should not go for a pap smear testing every year. In spite of it, she has to start testing herself from the age of 25. Now, this is a new technology using pap smear. We use a liquid based cytology. So this type of pap smear is done with the liquid based cytology. It has shown to have an improved results. So cells are obtained with the broom, and then the head is broken off and it is put directly into a vial containing a preservative fluid. In the laboratory, the sample will be made to spun to remove the obscuring material so that it gives you a clearer image. There is no cell lumps. It will also assist in future automated reading, and several sites can be prepared from one smear. And the problem of fixing is not present with this, since the broom head is put into the vial containing the preservative fluid. Fixing problem doesn't adds on or makes the poor results finding. Chlamydia or the HPV testing can be done at a later date, but it reduces the instance of inadequate and repeat smears. The American Cancer Society's new guidelines have 2 major differences from the previous guidelines. So one is that the screening can start from the older age, and the other is that is recommended a type of screening test called an HPV test. So according to the American College recommendations, Cervical cancer screening with the HPV test is done alone every 5 years for everyone with the cervix from age 25 until the age of 70. If HPV testing alone is not available, then people can go for an HPV along with Pap co-test, which can be done once in every 5 years, if not a Pap test alone for every 3 years. So these are the recommendations according to the American Cancer Society 2020 and comparison of the 2018 US Preventive Services Task Force. At the age of 21 to 24, no screening is required as per the guidelines of the American Cancer Society, but a Pap test every 3 years is required by the US Preventive Task Force. At the age of 25 to 29, HPV should be done once in 5 years, which is preferred. Or a HPV Pap co-test can be done once in 5 years. If it is only Pap test, it is acceptable. It should be done once in every 3 years. According to the 2018 US Preventive Task Force, the Pap test should be done once in every 3 years. At the age of 30 to 65, the same recommendations as we see for age 25 to 29. According to US Preventive Task Force, the Pap test should be done every once in 3 years. HPV test every 5 years, or if it is a HPV Pap co-test, then it can be done once in 5 years. After the age of 65 and older, no screening is essential if a series of prior tests were being considered normal. According to the US Preventive Force, no screening is done if a series of prior tests were considered normal and they are not at a high risk for cervical cancer, then we can stop at this particular age for doing a Pap smear. Now, what is this difference? I was talking about HPV test and a HPV Pap co-test. A Pap test is otherwise called as a Pap smear, so where we try to looking for an abnormal cells that can lead to cancer in the cervix, whereas a HPV test looks for a human papilloma virus, a virus which is the which is considered to be the vibrant cause for cervical cancer. So most of the people, they try to now do a HPV Pap co-test. So when these two are done together, we call it as an HPV Pap co-test. So the American Cancer Society concludes that the benefits of cervical cancer screening do not outweigh the harms of people aged between 21 to 24 years old. So this is an important change. It has come because of the use of the HPV vaccines. So HPV vaccines are very good at preventing HPV infections because it leads to cervical cancer among the most common types of HPV 16 and 18. So the vaccines have led to the drop of this HPV infections and thereby the cervical precancer in this age group, and therefore it can be initiated after 25 years. So cancer cervix is preventable. So if detected early, when we try to understand and create awareness among the women to undergo an annual screening of Pap smear, this will reduce the burden of India from the cervical cancer. Thank you all for your patient listening.